part 7 on how to join the elite. And this one I'm going to emphasize one in which, or a principle in which I've always emphasized, specifically with several videos on where can black men go to find acceptance either in America or abroad, and that is traveling. Now, I'm not going to pinpoint where to go, why should you go here, blah, 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 specifically for, in the case of black men, so everyone can get in the huddle, everyone can listen. But one of the things I want to emphasize on why men should travel is this. It's to open your mind. It's to broaden your horizons, and it's to see that the world outside of wherever zip code you live in is different, and in many times better. Now, where I'm from, it's one of the more elite cities in the country, but even I realized that there was a big world outside of the Beltway, and that there are things in which I could learn, things that I could experience, and things that would probably be better for me. Now, where I am right now, it's better by default, but I even realized that there are a lot of things that I can experience by going abroad, going international, and I want to emphasize that for all of you guys out there who have stuck stateside especially, or have traveled only to places within North America or places that are trendy, like the Caribbean places and those resorts. Getting to different places will increase your horizons, will make you aware of how big a world this is, and also on the topic of relationships, it will make you realize what is a proper kind of relationship. And I know a lot of you guys out there are, especially you MGTOW guys, saying there is no such thing as a proper relationship. Women were put on this earth to fuck over men in the ass and take our money and make us be men, and the traditional kind of women are bad too, and they want us to work so they can stay at home and take care of the kids and post things on Pinterest. And I'm gonna tell you this, and this shit's getting me steamed. Talking about MGTOW gets me steamed, and to the point in which literally there's moisture in my glasses. But I'm gonna say this. A lot of you guys out there who haven't traveled the world and think certain things are certain ways because it's supposed to be, well, I'll tell you this. On the subject of women and relationships in general, or just relationships between people, the West, especially the United States, really is in a very precarious scenario in which we have stopped socializing with each other. We don't know how to socialize with other people. We damn sure don't know how to socialize with the other gender, and that goes for both genders. And it's to the point in which we're making up 23 different flavors of genders, so we can, whatever. But I'm going to tell you all this. Once you step outside the matrix, the West, the United States, a lot of you will find and realize how relations are supposed to be, specifically between men and women. Now, I have not been to the deep parts of Latin America, nor Asia, nor the Middle East. Now, I'm not the biggest expert in this, but from what I've heard, what I've seen, what I have read, a lot of men in those countries, one, have infrastructure, and two, don't have to worry about a lot of things we have to worry about. And what do I mean by that? Well, in the West, a lot of men tend to find us pandering and fawning and tricking and pop collaring and showing off with the other gender is the way to go. Some of these guys will trick their money and act like a buffoon and douchebag and dude bro and dope boy, and they'll call that shit game. Not knowing that in other countries, in other parts of the world, quite frankly, men are the ones who make the rules of gender dating and relationships. Men are the ones who determine what is a man, and not only what a man is, but what kind of men women are attracted to. Men are the one who determine when and where, how, and why gender relations and sex goes down. And I'm not talking about rape or force. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the kind of relations and the kind of the kind of gender relations that men used to have in this country before we let it go willingly. A lot of people in Latin America and Asia look at us like idiots for this reason. Yeah, they may look up to us for certain reasons, half of which is their military, or our military, I should say, and our economy. But besides that, the United States, we've lost our ways in a lot of things. And that especially goes when it comes to dealing with women. If I would give you all one reason to go overseas, especially to non-Western countries like places in Latin America, places in Asia, places in Eastern Europe, or Southern Europe for that matter, places in Africa and the Middle East, they have a way with dealing with the opposite sex to the point in which they don't have to waste their time looking like clowns and buffoons, wasting thousands of dollars and tricking on women they haven't had sex with yet. That's the key, haven't had sex with yet. Now buying stuff for your wife, your girlfriend, after she's been with you for some time, that is a universal thing. That is something that men do to reward women for loyalty, or at the very least, consistency. But, for example, I know I haven't been around the world, but I've hung out with a lot of people from different places of the world, and I noticed that in a lot of crowds, there's this thing in which men enjoy themselves and women enjoy themselves, and when the time is right, when people are loosened up, you can say, that's when they enjoy each other's company. Like, go to these Latin nightclubs, for instance. Let me use this example. Go to some K-pop bars or karaoke bars. I've been to some places in which all night it's been nothing but dudes just having locker room talk, getting drunk, talking shit to each other, maybe not talking shit about other people, but yeah, talking shit to each other, because men talk shit in front of other men. And if they have something to say, they'll say it in front of their face. But at the end of the night, there's a warm bed for all those men. That's how you do it in a lot of Asian societies. They don't worry too much about if the women's going to be there for them, or if they can have to hunt and game and all this other kind of stuff, and compete, and AMOG this, and BYOZK, none of that shit. Similar thing in Latin America. Particularly, a lot of Latinos love dancing. Whether it's in salsa bars or just somewhere else. A lot of them just know how to have a good time, and they aren't worried about if the women that they do have is going to go off with someone else, or if they're alpha enough for all this shit. They just know how to have a good time. Same thing with Middle Easterners. A lot of Middle Easterners I know tend to get their own little VIP spots, buy up all sorts of stuff, and it's not to impress women, it's for each other. It's for the homeboys, it's for the men. I've been in plenty of VIP bars and Latin nightclubs, karaoke bars, where I just hung out with the guys, and then somehow miraculously I ended up with some chick at the very least for that night, if not for a while. But the point is this. Oh yeah, and that Middle Eastern example, you know what happened? The women came to the bar. The women came to the VIP section. We weren't even paying attention to them. And that's how a lot of society runs in general when it comes to gender relations. You don't worry about having to overly impress women. Now, you do have to impress them on some account by having your own infrastructure, having your own job, having your own place, having your own car. But the point is this. America has its priorities real screwed up when it comes to dealing on how to get with women. This is game shit about doing all this strategy, these pickup strategies, which it's akin to tactical warfare, which it's that desperate now that we have to treat game as if we're actually in the front lines and like it's some freaking strategic battle where you gotta call the fucking the Joint Chiefs of Staff on how to get it. We're calling the Joint Chiefs of Staff on how to get women. That's how sad it is in America. You guys realize that? Anyone else? Anyway, go ahead and travel. See how real men do, and everyone else out there always been an X.